Welcome back to Books with Duddy. Today we are going to discuss Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. So this discussion is going to have spoilers about the ending, the characters, the twists, and all of that stuff. So if you've not read the book and you want to avoid spoilers, I'd recommend you stop here. I'll link to my spoiler-free review of the book as well. But for today, let's dig in to the book. So this book is tough on where do I even start? I think I'm going to start with Maria because I think all of the characters were very, very interesting. Charlotte, Alice, and Maria / Sabine. I don't know if I'm saying Sabine right, but that's how I'm going to say it. Maria was interesting to me because of how quickly she turned into a monster. So when she kills her husband's family and her husband, and it's just like a brutal scene, a brutal murder. And while she definitely had reasons to be angry and upset, the ability to do that so quickly and, without remorse, I was like, whoa, right away, about Sabine. Now, I did not know at that point that she was going to be like the ultimate driving force of perpetuating the cycle in the book. And ultimately, Sabine became what she really hated the most at the beginning of her story. Possessive. Her relationship with Charlotte went from love to possession. And I think one of the interesting things with the book that I think is open-ended is, does Sabine fully turn into a monster because of the rot? Or, was that monster always there? And I mentioned before how brutal, her murder of her husband's family was, and how really she had no issue with going from regular girl to someone who needed to kill to live. So I tend to think, Maria, Sabine, I'm sure was affected by the rot some, but I think she was pretty susceptible to becoming that monster anyways. And then let's talk about Alice, because Alice, I don't want to say Alice is the most boring character, but I think who she is the most clear out of the three main characters. She's, a pretty normal, was pretty normal girl trying to start her life on her own. She had some familial issues, but overall I think a pretty good family life. And she's just a girl trying to discover who she is, even though I, as the reader, thought I could tell. But yeah, so her turn was definitely interesting because I definitely didn't think it was Sabine that turned her, right, until that reveal. So that was an interesting reveal. I would have liked to have known a little bit more about how exactly she didn't remember it all. Was it just blackout drunk type of situation or what? But anyways, and then on to Charlotte, who I think Charlotte is probably the most interesting character for me, because I think she is an unreliable narrator in parts of her story. Because when I first started reading her story, I was like, oh, she really cares about other people, and, she's, feels guilty about doing these things, and, all of that kind of stuff. But the reality is that she went around for however long with Sabine, can't remember how long, century or two, I think, just slaughtering people. And she was okay with doing that because she was happy with Sabine. So that's definitely like really selfish, right? And her narration though presents herself as this person who's feeling very guilty and yada yada. But the reality is she cared more about her not feeling her own loneliness than she did about other people's lives. And we saw that over and over again, from her killing with Sabine to her getting with these girls on one night stands, knowing that Sabine is gonna, go after them. And, again, that begs the question, was Charlotte really always destined to be like that, or was that the rot creeping in? And I don't know what the answer was Charlotte. I think it's probably more the rot than it was with Sabine, but I do think Charlotte was an unreliable narrator in the sense that she really thought she was a good person. Now, when we get to the ending, at first I didn't understand why, after Alice kills Sabine, why she kills Lottie or Charlotte. But then it kind of occurred to me that I think Charlotte was probably going to try to kill Alice once Alice killed Sabine. Because if to Charlotte, Alice was a means to an end, a way to get rid of Sabine, because she physically could not. So, and I don't even know if Alice thought that, like, oh, I need to kill her or she's gonna kill me. Maybe that's what she was thinking. But Alice also might have just been pissed that, Charlotte lied to her about turning back if she killed Sabine. And I think Charlotte was absolutely going to, or willing to, kill Alice. I can't remember, I think Charlotte killed Giada, was who got turned, or Penny, I can't remember which one. Without a thought, really. So, the end, the cycle of violence, we don't know if it's really broken. At least the cycle of violence between those three. As long as Alice doesn't turn anyone else, then like the Maker family tree will end with Alice. But the ending with Alice is pretty open-ended. I think there's definitely some hope in the ending. And, I think Alice thinks she might be able to actually have a life. But inevitably, the rot, which I wish we would have learned more about the rot, like what causes it. Is it the killing? Is it just time? Whatever. But inevitably it'll catch up to Alice. But for the time being, I think she has a chance to live, her life. Okay, well, that's just some of my thoughts on Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I'm very interested to hear what your thoughts were about the character Charlotte, the ending, all of that stuff. So please let me know in the comments. If you could leave a like and a subscribe, I would very much appreciate that. Otherwise, I hope to see you soon.